Hello YouTube, this is Ready Set Exploit and we're gonna be doing Kitty from TryHackMe, which is a room I created that covers two main vulnerabilities. Those two are SQL injection and command injection. So overall just injection. The goal of this room was actually for the user to be able to enumerate the database and extract sensitive information without the need of sqlmap and without any column information displaying any of the database information. So we're really looking at Boolean-based SQL injection. So you could have done this various ways. You could have used burp suite. You could have scripting is the most optimal way. And then from there, we find a script that is vulnerable to command injection that is being executed as a root user, which gives us total control of the machine. So now the name of the room is actually based on my brother's cat, who's passed away October 4th, 2022. So this room was my way of honoring her memory. Katie was with us for about 13 years with our family. So, you know, we definitely this definitely was a big dedication to her name. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the volume on this thing. So that way, there we go. So that way, if I make any little typos, you will hear the little bleep sound coming from the AttackBox, which is what I'm using today. So let's see. All right, so now let's get a terminal going. I clicked on 2 by mistake. So let's see. We need our IP address. So let's enumerate for some open ports. So nmap.minrate 1000. We have 10.10.14.1148, and we're going to enumerate all ports. We find 2 ports open, 22 and 80. I said H because I'm thinking 22 is SH. So done relatively fast. And now we're going to do dash svc to run default scripts and enumerate versions. We're going to save that to nmap.text, and now we're going to select port 22 and 80. And the reason why I do this is because it typically does the scan a lot faster, since I'm just focusing on those open ports, and this is a relatively fast scan. So see, it's already done. So we have port 22, OpenSSH, Ubuntu, 8.2 P1, okay, and then port 80 is running Apache 2.4.41, HTTP only flag not set. So pretty standard information. You go look at it to see if there's any vulnerable information, but to save time there isn't. So let's go ahead and open up the browser. We can't really do much with SSH. So let us just take a look at the website and see what we find. So it was, didn't mean that. Oh, just closed everything. Where did the IP go? Right here. So let's go ahead and check it out. And we have a pretty standard login page. Not much going on. Try like admin. Okay. Invalid. Admin. Password. No. Never save. Okay. So we can't do much there. Let's go ahead and we can also register, but let's go ahead and see if we can find anything else. So clear, go buster, dir-u, IP address, remove this. We know it's PHP, and I believe it is user, shared, wordless, seclist, directory, discovery, web contents. We'll do lowercase small, and it does find a few things right away. And let's see, it's kind of going through the list pretty fast. It won't find anything else. Index registers, we kind of knew this one. Config probably won't show anything. Log out, welcome. So probably once we log in, this is probably also the login point, we will meet with a welcome. So let's see if we can even view those pages without logging in. Nope. and config is just blank, and that is pretty standard. You're never going to really see config.php unless PHP is not properly installed. So what we can do now is just register. Do RSE password. Actually, I'm going to do capital P password, capital P password. Submit. And this is something to notice because I actually saw a few people point this out. I'm going to do lowercase p password, and I log in. I'm going to sign out, and I'm going to do the same thing, but now with a capital P. And this is a vulnerability in itself, and I'll go more into detail as to why, right? And actually, not even. We could do, let's see, what was it? I think it was MySQL, Zoo, PHP, MySQL, sensitive, and this is a spoiler that we're dealing with MySQL, but we're definitely doing some kind of database. So yeah, sure. So they submit a login script that checks if your name has matched in a database. So essentially, it talks about do not store passwords in plain text. We have to use the use binary case and such. So off the bat, we can probably make a good assumption. We could do something like MySQL case sensitive password. There we go. So case sensitive password work only if you're storing passwords in encrypted format using MD5 or password function. So right off the bat, I can tell you that passwords are being stored in in plain text. Okay, so if you're wondering why that is, now you actually have an idea. Okay, so this database is storing it in plain text. Okay, that's what tells you a little bit about how the room was made. So we're going on from there, and let's see. We have hello there, welcome to the site, still in development. Trust us. There's nothing else going on this site, right? Nothing is also being dynamically generated. We don't see our username. We don't see anything else, right? So this is where we can start testing for various payloads, right? Various login bypasses, or just see what else, if this site is vulnerable to anything else. Could try basic SQL injection, so do RSE. Let's see if this bypass works. So if I'll go into this bypass in a sec. So let's see, so single quote and then dash dash space dash. And I put whatever, right? If I can still log in, we have a vulnerable SQL injection, and we log in. Okay, so if I do that again, RSE input whatever, invalid. So the way that works, SQL, is probably something like select all where user name, where user, and you know what? I should just like a basic select all, select username and password MySQL. So it's probably something like, let's see, oh, that's just how to use it. SQL PHP login. I guess it's back to the same site. So it's probably something like this. Select username from login from some table. Okay, there we go. So it's probably like select select, let's say, yeah, user from, let's say, login table where username equals, let's say, let's do this right here, username equals and password equals password, right? And then ends there. So what I'm doing is, you could also probably do this, select all, but let's say select user from login table where, okay, so that's probably the SQL query. So what I did is I put RSE and I put whatever of my password, right? And then, so this is what I put in before, right? So this turns out to be false because that's not my password, right? But if what I did, if this is not properly sanitized, I put a quote. So now I have two quotes here. You see this two quotes close this query. Now I put my own quote and I added this. And what this does, this is a comment. So now the way this query is reading is select user from login table where username equals RSE, ignore everything else. And that's the injection, right? And then from here, I could just add more injections to control the database. So that's pretty much how that worked, how that payload worked. So can we enumerate other users? That's the question, right? Let's see. That's usually one of the first things I want to try before trying something like SQLmap. So let's do, I want to look at the parameters. So I press F12, go into network, post, it's going to index, and it's username, password. Okay. I'm going to do Wfuzz, do that again, Wfuzz -u, and it does, as soon as you do -d, it does that data by request. So username equals fuzz. Now you don't have to do this step, and I'll show you why, but it's always good to see, because this can allow you to do enumerate if there are any other possible usernames, because that could be your target for something else. So it's just very good to opt. That's where where this is in my personal machine. Shitlist, seclist, names. Let's see, do I not have names? Usernames, names. So we'll do that. And we're gonna get a lot of matches, but I want to ignore these because these are all essentially the same. So we do -H and then followed by the last letter. So it would be H, would be W or L or C. So I'm going to do H1147. And that's going to go relatively fast. And we should get a match relatively soon, I think, I hope. We do. We get one match for Kitty. And I think that's all we get. So end it there. So we do have one valid user. And the reason why this saves us time, Kitty, because let's say Kitty had some secrets here, we could have seen it, right? Without having to go through the whole SQL injection, steps, right? But that's not the case here. So I'm actually going to use burp suite. Where's burp? There we go. And I'm going to run sqlmap because that's usually most users' first instinct. SQL injection, let me run sqlmap. And I actually have kind of stopped using sqlmap altogether for various reasons. I mean, I will use it if the query or SQL attack is very, very, very like intensive and heavy. Or a very, very advanced query where it could take a while, It would just be easier to use sqlmap. But in some cases, it's always good practice to not use it. I want to go to history. I'm just using Foxy Proxy. It's already attached. So I'm just going to put whatever, log it in. And I'm actually going to stop listening on it. I don't need it anymore. Right here. Select it. Right click it. Save item. I'm going to call it sql.text. I believe this is using a very old version of SQLmap, so hopefully sqlmap -r sql.text dbs.batch. That'll take a second. So it is using which version? I'm here is. Does it tell me? It does not tell me. Oh well. So it goes through it and it finds nothing. You could follow these, like tamper space to common, increase the level and the risk, but it won't get you anywhere. It might at some point detect that it is vulnerable, but it won't work. And the reason is why. We know that it is vulnerable to injection, but why is it failing here? Well, let's try another kind of payload. Let's see, SQL, let's do the typical OR. This is another standard bypass. So if you think about the query, now I'm commenting everything out. And what I'm saying is either the username is RSE or it is 1 or 1 equals 1, which is true. And notice how I don't end the query, the quote here, because it's already a comma somewhere else, right? So I would say try to rebuild the query how I showed you before, and you can kind of see it. So I'm going to log in, and this does need a valid username. So if I do something like that, oh, well, first of all, it wouldn't have worked because there's no user, but as you can see, SQL injection detected, this incident will be logged. And okay, I thought it was something else, but as you can see, there is some kind of filter in place, right? That particular injection was detected, but the injection we used before, the simpler one, didn't, which means the filter is not grabbing everything as it's supposed to, right? So it's good enough, the filter is good enough to stop sqlmap, which is what I intended it, but it is not good enough to stop some manual payloads, right? So let's see. Now, I will say this. It is possible to use sqlmap. I do know of one user, I won't say who, and I won't say how they did it, but they did show me that you can use sqlmap. It does require very advanced knowledge of all the systems in play, all right? It requires good knowledge of how sqlmap works and all the different options that it has available. And they also had already completed the machine, so they took a real hard look at how the filtering was working. Okay, so with all that together, they were able to eventually get sqlmap to work. And I'll leave that up to you, the user, to figure that out. Because I won't share it here because I do think it was a fun exercise, and they did show me what they did and I was pretty amazed by it. So I of course did decided to keep it as is, because that is also a lesson in itself on how to really take time to figure out how something was made and how you can still bypass it despite what the creator wants you to avoid. So it's not straightforward, so have fun with it, and it will take some time. But anyway, back to the machine. So now what can we do? We can now, knowing that not all payloads work, we can try a, which is my favorite kind of injection. There's many that could work, but I'm going to use a union injection. Okay, so I'm going to do comma, union, select 1. So right now I'm trying to enumerate how many columns are being used on this database, out of this table and database. So I'm going to just do that payload. Nope, didn't work, and that's okay. You just do is you keep increasing the number until you get a bypass. You could also do this on burp. It's probably easier. Just doing it here. And we get it. So we know that there are 4 columns. Typically with an injection, especially on dynamic sites, if let's say it said hello RSE, or welcome to our site RSE, we could see which column is being used inside of the database. And that makes the extraction a lot easier. We don't have to brute force every character, we could just display it on there. This isn't the case here. So we have to, this is a pretty static site. So now we have to build our own payload, and that is really where the fun begins. So I'm going to call this one db import request. Now you could do this using burp's intruder, but I'm not going to do that because that actually honestly takes too long unless you're on burp professional. So I'm going to do a function called database URL, and once you have one working, they're all relatively the same. Cat user share wordless seclist fuzzing alpha case. I think that's it. TR dash D set the perimeter. There we go. Let's see. So one of the words equal that. I meant to do this. And now right touch to save it. Let's see. And just for time's sake, I know the first gonna be there. I'm gonna do M. I'm gonna put M at the beginning just to save time because I don't particularly remember the order of the database. So I'm gonna do L is the length of words, right? I'm gonna do I is my iteration, and I'm gonna do B equals, you know what I'm gonna do? Dash I dash B. Oops. So I'm gonna do 0, and B equals gonna be nothing. That's gonna be what my word's gonna end. So well, I is less than L. So that's, I'm gonna iterate through every single character there. And I'm gonna do data. This is gonna be payload username. Be consistent. Actually, I guess I don't have to. Probably this way better. So I'm gonna do union select 1, 2, 3, 4, where database equal database like binary, and this is where you could use the word like alone and it will work, but you want to use like binary. And the reason for that is, show here. So if I do MySQL injection, like case sensitive. Okay, you want to use the like binary. How to force MySQL like to be case sensitive? You want to use the like binary. Otherwise, if you just use the word like, you're gonna, MySQL by default will think a lowercase l and uppercase L are the same, right? So you want to use the like binary. Let's see, so like binary, now this is where the fun starts. So we're gonna close the quote here, and let's see, yeah, because then comes the, so now it's gonna be our empty word and plus each character in the letter. Let's I plus, I think I forgot a plus here. And now we go back and we want to do a wildcard percentage. Then we're going to close it. And password, who cares? Close it. Right? So R is going to be our request.post. So it's going to send URL data equals data. So our data for the post request. So now we got to do, I think it was hello there, right? Yeah, if, can I do that? So if hello there, let me write this. Hello there in r.text. So if it's on here, if the hello there, that means if it is successful, then we're going to do words I. So now our B becomes that character, right? And then we start again. Else sys std out. This is just a neat little trick. We do -r for line break, extracting. It's just extracting db. And we're going to do the empty word, the word before, words, the character. We're going to give us, empty space. This is 20. And I believe I got that right. We'll find out. And then we're going to flush that out. Td out.flush. And then we're going to add it by 1. And then if name equal, this is just your standard Python jargon. URL, we need the URL. Index, because that's where it went to database URL. Let's see if that works. And it did. So we have, just ignore that last one. That's just the way that script works. But it would be, we have my website. That's the database. Okay. So let's do db info my website. So we know the database is my website. So now we're going to do db to tables, and now we could do, now we just have a lot more, we could save a lot more time. Do print, I'm going to do, just to do it right. There we go. So now we do, start from here, and do tables to keep organized. Tables. Okay. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we just delete this part. And we're going to do from information schema where table schema equals my website and table name like binary, and then the rest stays the same. Do extracting table. See if it works. And it didn't. I missed something. So let's see. Did I get that right? My website. Okay. So let's see. Tables, URL. Hello there. See, username union select 1, 2, 3 from information underscore schema right here. Tables. Aha, there we go. Site users. So let's copy that. Site users. Okay. So now we need to find the columns for each one. Copy tables. See, once you have one, do cols 1, just to make this easier. Cols 1. Actually, that's it. I'll do cols 1, then the other one, I'll just copy cols 1 to cols 2. So now, let's see. Everything else, oh, there we go. Do cols for columns. Same thing. So we're gonna do move everything from like binary because we don't need it. I think it's my website and site users, right? Let's see. So from, I guess I shouldn't have removed everything. Information, schema, columns, where table schema equals my website and table name. I think that's spelled columns, right? Yeah, the table columns equals site users, and column name like binary, and then the rest is the same except for year. Column 1. Let's give it a go. Probably messed up. Create. Okay, so don't want the C there. That's probably something like created date. So for sake of time, we'll do C and I. Gonna be removed. We'll put them over here. CI. I want to do UP just to save time. And this is something that you would do typically. You want to organize your letters. So we have username. And we could probably guess what the other one's gonna be, right? So you have username. And the reason why you want to enumerate them, even though you could kind of guess, is because what if I have changed it to site username, or site password, you know? And then this really comes in very important for the next payload, right? So you definitely want to know what they are, username and password. Right, and right now, I'm also not using special characters. You typically do want to use special characters as well. That's just for the sake of time. Alright, so I didn't really need to do all that. Let's do calls. And now we're going to do calls to extract. Okay. And we already know one username. Actually, let's do that. Let's do copy extract to users. Yeah, and move extract to passes. So first we're gonna get the users, because it's good to just be thorough. Okay. So now, I don't want to go all the way there. There we go. So there. So now we just need the table name from site users, where the column name, username. So if the column was like site username, we would do site username. So that's what you always want to enumerate. Because if you don't know, you think something's wrong with your payload, or you think, you know, when it could have just been, you just didn't enumerate properly. Like binary, and I think that's it. So this was a pretty simple one. And now extracting users. I probably should have copied this after. Okay, so I'm gonna do users. Think that should be fine. Think that's it. Let's give it a go. Users. We have Kitty. Okay, and we already knew that. Put it here. Kitty. Now, here comes the big lesson. I'm going to copy users to passes. Passes. Here comes the big lesson. I'm going to remove the binary. And I'm going to do, let's get the password. So, let's see, from username, so it's pretty much the same thing, where username, we could do like binary. We don't, doesn't matter here, but I'm gonna use it like binary. So I know my password, right? Actually, no. Let's show it with the way people were complaining. Like, and password. So now we want the password. Like that. I misspelled there. Extracting kitty, extracting my password. I think it'll be easier to see this way. Extracting my password. Like binary RSE. Let's see if this works. Don't have to do this, but you know. Passes. Passes. And there it is. That's my password. But you see, it is all lowercase, which we know technically is not correct. The site will accept it. But that's just because it is stored in plain text. And also, by this point, you should know, okay, so if you were extracting this on a web application that was encrypting passwords with hashes, like, you wouldn't get the password. You would get the hash. Which is another reason why I purposely did plain text, because, see, there we go, capital P. The reason why I did plain text is because if I have hashed it, and you'll see in a second, that hash would have been impossible to crack, right? So, okay, so then you're thinking, all right, so, you know, do a simple password for the hash. No, because then as soon as people probably could have figured out that there's a user named Kitty on the machine, not necessarily, but some people can guess, they would have just run Hydra, probably gone get a pizza, and at some point gotten the password and completely bypassed this. And that's not something I want. So we're starting to get somewhere, but we're missing something. Special characters. And for the sake of brevity, let's go ahead and include this. So this is where you start playing with special characters to make sure you got everything. So long live Kitty. And that is the password. Okay, and this password works on the website. Let's see, sign out. There we go. It also works on SSH. So I already forgot what the IP address is. 10.10.14.148. Let me try to have time on this machine. This thing close on me. Nice. Okay, I still do. Alright, so now we have the password. Make sure I save it. So let's see. Let's do creds now, just to keep organized. SSH kitty 10.10.14.148, I think. Yes. Pass. And we have access to the machine. Now, again, this is what users were getting. They were getting all the lowercase. So even if I do L, should still work. See? 103 found, follow the redirection. Hello there, welcome to our site. So again, you know, the like binary, if you were using the correct payload and understood what was happening, you wouldn't have had this issue. And that's something I also learned myself before, when I first was looking into SQL injections. I ran into the same issue and learned the same lesson. So, you know, there wasn't a bug in the machine. It was a vulnerability in the machine, and if you had taken the time to kind of look through it, you could eventually really figure out what was happening, unless you were familiar with this payload. You know, another thing I wanted to point out, hopefully I can find it. TryHackMe SQL injection. I believe there is a room. Aha. This room right here, and I believe is task 7. That covers it. But of course, you know, and I did this on purpose. This doesn't have the like binary, you know, so I'll probably look into that. This isn't my room, but it does at least, if you have followed this room, you would have been in. See, these are the same payloads I use. If you followed this room, you would have gotten this far, and then all you had to figure out was that, hey, my password is like lower, is not case sensitive. But you see, it's a lot of the things were right there. And then, I didn't want you to just kind of follow that and then get what you need. So I did notice that, and I did do that on purpose. So that way you kind of have to exercise the mind a little bit. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's do our usual checks. Look at our environment. Bash, okay, nothing stands out. Sudo -l, password, can't run sudo. We're not part of any interesting groups. Any sweet binaries. -u equals s, type f. So we're looking for permissions that have the sweet bit set. Anything that stands out that we can use. And probably taking its time, but no. Not to usually look at these here. Nothing good. Okay. Any capabilities? Let's see, -r. No. Okay, nothing. These are pretty useless as well. Okay, so nothing. We do have our flag. At one point we were able to sudo as admin profile. Okay, we have our flag there. Nothing. So let's see. Okay. So nothing we can really go on. The authorized keys won't have anything. So let's see. Any interesting connections? Aha. So we have port 80. We already knew that. Port 8080. That is new. That is listening on localhost. Could see what that's about. See if they're the same site. Maybe some kind of like proxy forwarding or something. D5 sum. Okay. AFE. Okay, so they are different. All right, so let's see what that's about. Let's take a quick look. It's another login form. Development user login. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Does it have the password? Yeah. So exit, clear. Let's create a tunnel. Let's see. I could. If you're not too familiar with tunnels, what you want to do is you select -l. You do the port that you want to use locally. So let's say I want to use 1337. And then the target IP, in this case, is localhost, not my localhost, the victim's localhost, and the victim's port that it is using. In this case, is 8080. Enter the password. And now we can access it on our localhost on port 1337 because that's what I chose and that's not what I typed. There we go. So, okay, it is the same. Does the passwords work? It does. Same exact site. Only difference is it just says development. Is this still Apache? Most likely PHP ID. You know, could be using another framework. It's Apache, same version. Okay, I don't think I need this anymore. So let's go ahead and see where that is running. So for that we could do Apache Etsy Apache sites enabled or available. We have this one. This is probably the default. And that's dev right here. Do available. So let's do. So if we review this one, this is port 80. This is the location. We do dev site. This one is here in development, and port 8080, which is what we already knew. So let's go there. So this was the original one. Let's look at development. Actually, right from here. Let's see if development is any different. Development does have one more file. Do we have permission for that? We cannot read. We can read this file, but we don't have any access to it. Only dub. So a little odd here. Root can edit these files, but dub data can only write this one, and that's interesting. So let's keep note of that because that is odd. Anyway, let's go ahead and so something's being logged here. So is there a difference between the sites? Let's see. Diff could do HTML index. That's where everything happens. Development index. And let's see. SQL. Okay, so looks like, you know what? Let's do -c. I think it reads a little bit better. There we go. So HTML development. Okay, so this is HTML. So this is where the filter happens. Okay. And this is development right here, the second section. So it's telling you the differences. So it is pretty similar, except for these lines right here. These lines get added in. See, this stops right here and then it dies. Where in the development page, we have, once it's detected, right, the IP equals the AX forwarded for header, then a line break, then it gets added as a line break, and then it puts the content, so it writes the content into that log file we saw, then it kills it. So the development side is trying something new. It's trying to now not just tell you, so this is kind of like a false alarm. This instantly will be logged, right? But it was never really logged. It just kind of kills it. Here, the development side is actually trying to log it. And the reason why I did it separately is, you'll see in a moment, is to avoid any skips, right? So this only gets detected when we have an SQL injection attempt. We can write to this file. Well, how does that help us? Let's get another terminal. There we go. So we're gonna do tail-f development logged. So we're gonna read this file. We're gonna do curl, make this a bit bigger. If I can do that easy, just so that we could see right on the top. There. Be able to click on both. Aha. There we go. So curl 127. .1 1337, that's ours. So the username equals, let's see, so we know only when there's an attempt, right? So let's do, I don't know, kitty, and we know when that happened, which was this, and password equal la la la. There we go. So now, if we do that, we see there was an empty space here. It didn't write it. It got cleared. Something cleared this file. File truncated. That's interesting. So something is doing this. So let's see. We can control the header, right? It was host x forwarded for I did host. It's this, and it's try ha 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 ha. Oh, we wrote into it, and then it's probably gonna clear, and at some point. Which means something is probably triggering this. And for that, I want to look at the processes. Pspy GitHub. This is a good tool for this. By Dominic Brooker. Go to the releases. Do 64. Delete it. I believe that goes right to my root directory. So it got deleted already. So let's go to tempt. There it is. Python 3-m 1338 because I'm already using 1337. Wget 3462 1337 338 Pspy64. There we go. chmod Pspy64 Pspy64. So let's see what we have. There we go. A cron. There's this script right here. Let's see the intervals. So 5501. So let's see if it runs every minute or so. But this is being executed by root. So this is a script here. I don't want to check it just yet. Actually, I guess we could. Already forgot the password. And the IP. So this is kitty 10.10.14.148. Okay, that's me logging in. Okay, so we're still within the minute. I don't see it here. Let's see. So opt. There it is. There we go. Executed. 5601. So every minute, root is executing this script. We don't have write access to it. Don't need this anymore. But I do want to go back to see there, because I'm gonna actually, we could do it from this box or from our own local one. So while read IP is doing a loop and send the variable to IP, we are echoing the IP into this file. Done. Into this file from this file. So it reads everything from this file, writes it onto here, and then it clears it. So that's where the truncated comes from. So we have command injection right here because of this, right? So if you're not sure, if you want to test that out, so you can do sh-c, do echo hi, hi. Or you could do command injection. Oh, well, I guess, let's see, dash, can I line break it? That's one way. I guess it doesn't like that. Let's try, you can also do this. There we go. So you can also, so we have a command injection, right? I really like this one. Didn't work on here. You could have done it this way. So if you do echo hi, do, there we go. That's what I was trying to achieve. So it's the same thing. So we have a command injection right here. And how can we inject it? Well, we saw that we can write here using our curl payload, right? So we can write our command injection here. It'll get written on here. And once it gets written on here, this will execute it. So let's see. I don't want a reverse shell. I want shadow file Linux password. Create. Aha. I could use a reverse shell, but I'm gonna do this. It's just more fun this way. And password. Aha. So let's do cat etc passwd. Copy everything here. Do passwd. Copy it. Go to the top. Copy root. Back to the bottom. Paste it. Do root. Have some fun. RSC. Delete this for now. we're creating a new user with root privileges with the password of password. Right here. There we go. Perfect. Copy this one. What? There we go. I'm going to copy this. Run it on here. And there we go. Huh. And now we're going to log this. We're going to curl this. I'm going to do the command injection I showed. Do copy temp. You know what? Sometimes temp is weird. So I'm going to do it here. Depending on the configuration, everybody has like a separate temp file. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to now log that. There it is. Once you see that it's truncated, we should be good to go. Hack tricks, command injection. And if you weren't too sure how to do command injections, you go to hack trick pages and there's all this stuff right here. Right? All this stuff you can, I think it's actually OS command injection. Should be a pull paylist. Oh, this is in French. Action list. Huh. See. Still not there. There we go. But yeah, see, so you have all these command injection techniques here. Oh, there's mine. See, there's mine right here. Right? Oh, okay, I just didn't finish loading. Windows, Linux. There's also like bypass Linux restrictions. There's a nice list right here as soon as it loads. So see, there's all these command injections you can do. You got little quotes right here, base 64, right? You have this here. So lots of techniques. Truncated. There's my user, Sue, RSE, password, and we are the root user. And there's our root flag. So, log. And that's all our stuff. So, that pretty much does the machine. So as you see, lots of injection, lots of fun, lots of lessons learned. You know, again, this was a room dedicated to our family's cat we had for a long time, and hopefully you had a lot of fun with this room. I had a lot of fun making it. I even had a lot of fun now just going through it again. As you could see, really taking the time to knowing what's going on in the back end and why certain things are behaving certain ways is key to really build your methodology when it comes to pen testing and vulnerability testing. So anyway, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.